I appreciate your kind introduction. Reminds me of similar situations. Shortly after I had left TV5 to come to the bowl game, I was speaking to an organization similar to this down at the Peabody. Sorry to my friends at the Hilton, the event was somewhere else that day. And the gentleman who was introducing me, kind of a crusty old guy, and we were up on a dais, and I'm to the right of the podium, and he has a little 3x5 card with my bio information on it, at least I presumed it did. And he looks at the card and he looks over at me and he doesn't say anything, and he looks at the card again and he looks at me and still doesn't say anything. I'm getting a little concerned. Finally, he reads from the card. It says, "This man needs no introduction." And he says, "I think that's great because I don't know who the hell this guy is." So much for my 15 years of doing sports at Action News 5. And Mike, again, I appreciated the call. What was it, about a month or so ago? Mike invited me over, and a little bit of a strange phone call from Mike that day. He says, I got a question I need to ask you. I said, sure. He said, do you believe in free speech? I said, well, you know my background, journalism, Liberty Bowl now, patriotism. Absolutely, I believe in free speech. He says, great. I want you to come to the Sales and Marketing Society and give us one. So here I am. College football, obviously an exciting time for us and a lot of fans. I know just talking to folks as you've come in today, an exciting time around here, around Memphis in the Mid-South. Mississippi State, number one in the college playoff poll that came out last night. Ole Miss still in the top 10. Tigers, you having Tiger people in here other than me? Absolutely. We're headed to a bowl game. We'll find out where a little later on. Absolutely. And obviously, a lot of progress still being made at Arkansas and Tennessee, and the Hogs and the Vols still hoping to get to 6 wins and to a bowl game. So a lot of excitement around our part of the country when you start talking about college football. For us specifically at the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, it's a new day starting with this year's game. New matchup, SEC, Big 12. If you've followed us over the years, for the past 20 years, we've had a relationship where we've had the champion of Conference USA playing in our game. And since 06, we've had SEC against Conference USA. Well, that all changes this year. We maintain our relationship with the Southeastern Conference, and the new conference partner is the Big 12, and we're very excited about that. So what about selling the bowl experience? Well, we have some unique challenges in our world, in the bowl world. When it comes to sales, obviously one of the number one rules is know your product, right? How many salespeople do we have in here versus marketing folks? A lot of sales folks. Gotcha. So you got to know your product. What is that? And for us, our number one product obviously is the bowl game itself. I'm asked, and I know I've been asked earlier, and I know I'll be asked again about who's playing in the game. No matter what time of year it is, it may be January, it could be July, certainly during football season, folks want to know who's playing in the game. We don't know. We still don't know. But that's the number one question that we're asked, and that's the question that fans want to know the answer to. So here's the scenario for us at the AutoZone Liberty Bowl and the challenge that we face. 11 months of the year, we have no idea what our product is. We don't know the two teams. We will find out the two teams for this year's bowl game on December 7th. We'll play on December 29th. 22 days. Actually, the window to sell is actually much shorter than that. History shows that in our business, in the bowl business, that if a fan doesn't make the decision to buy the ticket, book their hotel rooms at the Hilton, if they don't do that within a week to 10 days, they're not coming to the bowl game. They're not coming to Memphis. So from December 7th to basically the 14th, maybe the 15th or 16th, to stretch it a little bit, that decision will be made. The tickets will be sold or not sold, and those hotels rooms will be booked or not booked. That's what we face. That's our challenge, but that's what the other 38 bowl games face as well. So it's a very unique business, and that's what we face every year. So the rest of the year, the other 11 months of the year, what are we selling? For this year, obviously, we're proud to be able to sell the brands of the Southeastern Conference and the Big 12. Obviously, a great enhancement from where we were previously. And for us at the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, we're selling the color and the pageantry and the excitement of the game itself. Certainly all of the events that lead up to our game, the patriotic pregame show, the great halftime show that always features a nationally known entertainer. As a matter of fact, we'll be announcing this year's gala entertainment and halftime entertainment next week, so that news is coming. So the 11 months of the year when we don't know who our two teams are, that's what we're selling. We're selling the bowl experience, or put another way, we're selling memories. And when we go around, whether it's in town or out of town, whenever we're introduced as being from the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, it seems like everybody has a story about the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Unfortunately, a lot of times, if it's the senior crowd, it goes back to the days long ago, and a lot of times those stories involve how cold it is. Luckily, we don't face that too often anymore, playing the majority of our games during the day. But it seems everyone has a story about the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Whether it was Coach Bryant's last game in 1982, or Bo Jackson's long touchdown run when he played in our game, or Doug Flutie's performance against Notre Dame back in the 80s. Just about everyone has a Liberty Bowl memory, and that's what we're selling, and that's what we try to make each and every year, are new memories for you, your family, your business associates, whoever's attending the ball game. And when we talk about the bowl experience, it is more than just the football game. If you'll take a peek at the bowl brochure that's on your table, it's all of the events that lead up to the bowl game. And that's what differentiates the regular season versus the postseason. All of the events that we put on in conjunction with our many volunteers that we so much rely on, whether it's the high school all-star game that we'll play over here just down the street at MUS, or our rodeo out at Showplace Arena, the President's Gala, the pregame buffet. There's a whole lot more about the bowl experience than just the football game. And that leads to the video that I brought today. Want to roll that, and you'll see, if you haven't experienced the bowl or the bowl experience, here's a taste of that. And in the middle of this, you'll see there's included a 3-minute piece that we work with St. Jude on that actually runs during halftime of the ESPN telecast. So here's our highlight video from 2013. So that's what we're selling, and we hope that you are buying. And as we have learned over the years, it's not simply asking the question. We've got to earn your business, and we know that. But you see what we're doing in the community, hopefully filling up hotels and restaurants. But for us at the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, where does the selling start? It starts right here at home with individuals like you, business owners like you, decision makers like you. We are relentless in our pursuit of getting folks like you involved with us at the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. And it reminds me of a story, especially for you sales folks, when Andy Dolich first came to Memphis. He was the original president of the Grizzlies, had a great career in Major League Baseball with the Oakland A's. And I remember hearing Andy give a talk, and then he and I had a side conversation about his great career. And when he was at the A's, even though he was at the top of the food chain, his business card said Andy Dolich, ticket seller. Pretty simple. The message being, no matter what your position is or your role is within the organization, in sports particularly, it's about selling the ticket, about getting the fan into the stadium, into that seat. And that's the way we approach it. Everybody at our organization is a ticket seller. The day after the game, if you want to buy a ticket to the 2015 game, we'll sell it to you. We'll be glad to do that. Absolutely. We are always, as I said, in relentless pursuit of getting folks like you involved. But it's not just you coming to our game and being a part of it. We hope that we can help you generate sales too. Use our game and our events as that networking opportunity. Business development, and as we talk about so often at our place, is the relationship building. And, I haven't heard Fred Smith say this directly, but I've heard the stories, and I've heard the legacy and the history from FedEx, from some of the other folks that have worked with Fred for so long, about this quote that is attributed to Fred that he said many years ago. He said, "People think that we," meaning FedEx, "are in the business of shipping packages." He said, "We're in the business of making friends." And again, Fred's point, and I have had a chance to ask him about this over the years, the point is, It's all about doing business with folks you like. If they don't, no matter how good your pricing is, know how good your widget is or whatever it is you're selling, if that person across the table from you, when you're having negotiations, discussions, trying to make an order, if they don't like you, they're not going to do business with you. And Fred really set that in motion with that quote. And again, that's something else we work very, very hard at. And again, it's due to folks like you inviting us to events like this where we can make new friends and build and nurture relationships. And we appreciate that opportunity. Last year I was down at the kickoff game that they play at Cowboy Stadium down in Dallas. It was the TCU LSU game. And are you a Horned Frog? See, I know, right? Horned Frog. Gary Patterson, one of my good friends, and they're 4th this week in the poll, right? Congratulations. I was down there for the game, and the folks at the Cotton Bowl, their offices are in Cowboy Stadium. And as they were showing me around, one thing that really jumped out at me, and it was, again, a lesson that I was able to take back to our staff. They have a sign in their office at the Cotton Bowl, and it says, "The sale starts when the customer says yes." Boy, that is definitely true, because that's when not only, we want their money, we want that credit card number, we want the check, but that's just when it starts. That's when the relationship really starts. That's when the work really starts. And that's when you have to service the account, service that customer. Take care of the customer, absolutely, and retention certainly becomes a priority. Because we all know, we all prospect, we're all looking for business. I'm sure there were some business cards exchanged here today. Hey, I'm going to call you, here's my service, right? All that was going on, absolutely, and we're doing that, all of us, every day. But with that sale starts when the work starts when the sale is completed. It's about keeping that happy customer, because it's a whole lot easier to keep a happy customer than it is to go out and find a new one. And we all know what that challenge is like. So again, a great lesson learned from our friends down in Dallas at the Cotton Bowl. But you folks are certainly our number one customer. We hope that you will become our customer if you aren't, or a sponsor if you are. Our friends from the Hilton are certainly some of our greatest supporters. But we also have other customers, and we certainly touched on it in the video there with the SEC and the Big 12. Those folks are also our customers, the member institutions, the 24 institutions that make up those two conferences. And just like you have a decision on how you use your discretionary dollars, the schools have a decision to make of when they're bowl eligible, where do they want to make their trip. And there are a lot of options out there. And again, that's why we're out week in, week out throughout the year, and especially during the football season, building those relationships with our friends in the SEC. And obviously, I've been around a long time now between television and the bowl. That's 30 plus years of building relationships, but now we're getting to know the folks at the Big 12. And again, it's about nurturing and selling them on Memphis, because they do have a choice. But we would put the Memphis bowl destination and the things that we offer as a community, we put our city up against any of the other bowl cities that we compete against. You can come to Memphis for 3 or 4 or 5 days and have just a blast. And that's what we're selling as well, especially when we're talking to the fans out of the city and talking to university presidents and chancellors, athletic directors, head coaches. Those are the folks that we visit with when we go to a game. Folks, certainly during the football season, about this time every week when I'm out and about, folks, where are you going this week? Well, I've been gone out of 11 weeks. I've been on the road 10 of those weeks at games, but that's what we do. Because, you get to go to those football games. Isn't that great? You get to go to see all those free games and some of the best games going. It is the job. But we're okay, I know. Okay. It is a job. It is work. But we're there again to nurture those relationships with those key decision makers. Because at the end of the day, it's the chancellor, president, whoever has that top CEO position at the university, certainly the athletics director, and that head football coach. Those are the folks that we are with day in, day out, and have to communicate with. Again, part of our strategy, we're kind of like Avis, we work harder. If there is an alumni association here in town hosting an SEC or Big 12 coach for an alumni event, we're going to be there. We go to the media days in July, and then we certainly hit it hard during the regular season because we think that at the AutoZone Liberty Bowl in Memphis, Tennessee, we don't have the beach, we don't have warm weather, but we have a lot of great things that you could experience while you're here. You saw some of those in the video, but we work hard at it. And again, that's what we do. That's where the work comes in when we're on the road visiting folks. Talking about where I've been, folks want to know, kind of ties into the teams we're looking at. As I said, I've been on the road 10 weeks out of the 11 so far, and I'll be on the road this week. So far this year, I've been to Little Rock, Fayetteville, Oxford, Columbia, Missouri twice, Lexington, Stillwater, Oklahoma, Knoxville twice, and I'm headed back to Knoxville this week for trip number 3. So I think that might tell you where our priorities are. And I know I'll get asked, and I've been asked already, so I'll answer the question. Who's going to be in the game again? We don't know, but who's on the radar? Obviously in the SEC, based on my travel itinerary, the Vols are at the top of that list. You know, Butch Jones and I are very good friends, and you know, we had Butch in our game several years ago when he was at Cincinnati, and he loves Memphis. He loves the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. He recruits Memphis. He was recruiting Memphis when he was at Cincinnati. So our city, certainly our high school athletes in this bowl game are high priorities for Butch Jones at the University of Tennessee. Obviously, the Vols have some work to do, and that starts this week. They need to beat Kentucky. Probably beat Vanderbilt. We're keeping our fingers crossed. That gets them to 6, and then we can have those conversations. Arkansas is another one that's on our list. They're at 4 wins. Got some work to do. Maybe they can get to 6. Brett's doing a great job over at Arkansas. Mizzou. I've been to Columbia twice. We saw Mike Alden, their athletics director, at the media days back in July, talking about why we're there. You know, Mike, this is only Mizzou's 3rd year in the conference. He had not been to the extravaganza that is SEC media days down in Birmingham. He came just to see what it's all about. And, you know, I went to a couple of Mizzou games last year. We were chasing them. And obviously they ended up having a great year, won the division and played for the conference championship. But Mike has made it very clear, and I heard it firsthand when I was in Columbia on both of my trips, that if they have the opportunity to come to Memphis, they want to play in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Their major alumni base and a great deal of their wealth of their donors is in St. Louis, 4 hours up the road, or in our case, down the road for them to make the trip. So Mizzou is high on our list. Talked about Tennessee, Arkansas, Mizzou, Kentucky. I was in Lexington last week. You know, they got off to a 5-1 start, and the Wildcats have lost now 4 in a row. They got blown out last week against Georgia, but they've had a couple get away from them. So they're looking at trying to get to 6, and they're expecting and hoping to beat Tennessee this week. So those interesting dynamics. So we like to have Kentucky eligible. We just hope they don't get eligible this week against Tennessee because the Vols need that win, right? So then on the other side, because that's kind of where we are in the SEC, and I can go in a little, and then during the question and answer, maybe go a little bit deeper into that selection process with the SEC because it has changed. But then on the Big 12 side, you know, I was in Stillwater a few weeks ago. Oklahoma State, certainly high on our list, and that game happened to be West Virginia. I would say right now those are the 2 teams that we're really looking at and focusing on in the Big 12. We had an inquiry last week, though, from the University of Oklahoma. They're at 6 wins. They're going to be kind of a maybe in the middle of the road team, so the Sooners are certainly on our list. But I think realistically, as we speak today, I would say Oklahoma State, West Virginia, those 2 teams are really in the hunt to come to the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. And when we talk about selling the Memphis experience to these out-of-town schools and especially a new conference like the Big 12 or a school that hasn't been to our game in a long, long time like Mizzou, you know, we have developed booklets like this for each school. Now, obviously, Tennessee knows our story, but we've produced one for them, and we have given these to at each one of the schools that we've done these for. These go into the hands of the chancellor, the president, the AD, the head coach, and this has all the reasons why that football team should pick Memphis over any of the other destinations. You know, for example, you know, one of the things we point out is the geography of Memphis and the hotbed of recruiting. And I can tell you, more than anything else, when it comes to that head football coach, they're looking at Memphis as a recruiting site for them. we all know our great basketball tradition here, but I can tell you, Memphis is a hotbed for football recruiting as well. And these coaches would love to come to Memphis for a week and be in the media for the whole month of December as they recruit athletes from here in our city. So as a part of our Working Harder Like Avis, we've done booklets like this for some of the member institutions that would chase it. Just to touch on the marketing side, not to leave out the marketing folks. We've already started a heavy schedule of radio promotions during the season. I do a weekly show on WHBQ with the guys over there at Thursdays at noon. Steve Earhart, the director of the Bowl, I get him on as many stations as I can, talking college football, talking about the Bowl. So we're out there on radio, also with radio advertising. So we've started, advertising in the CA. And then come December 7th, we'll ramp up the radio, we'll ramp up the print. Social media is huge with us. We have young folks on our staff who know how to do that and understand it, and they're doing a great job for us. We'll have digital billboards once our teams are known, so we hit it really, really hard starting December 7th once we know the teams, and it'll be here before we know it. So as I wrap up this portion of it, again, we invite you to be a part of it. We hope that you'll be a part of it, and we hope that that last week of December culminates with full hotels, full restaurants, and we hope that you'll be a part of it as well to either make new memories or relive old ones, and we want you to be a part of the experience of the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. So with that, I will say thank you and open it up for questions if you have any.